Welcome back. My guest is former IEC chairperson, Dr. Brigalia, who's got some interesting ideas on how we can help improve the electoral system in South Africa in order to strengthen the accountability processes within the nation. And before we went on this break, Dr. Brigalia, you were talking about the caliber of the elected representatives, that you wish political parties could find a way of setting particular standards. Why is that a concern to you?
You see, we have a government. We have got institutions like the parliament. And so all our ideas that we have of transformation, all our ideas that we have and ideas that could be used with the experience that we have acquired now after these years, unfortunately can only be utilized through an institution called government, through an institution called local government, through institutions. And so because of that, then all these institutions, by the way, have got legislation, that says this cannot be done, this can be done. I wish, just before we go to these elections, it's now in January, how I wish there could be openness, not realistic, of a general acceptance. I don't even want to call it a regulation. Is that this time the parties, even if it's not in the Electoral Act, that the parties will present to the public in South Africa through formats and all kinds of things that could be done. And we know who these candidates are. It's not something in a corner for a political party, and we would know the criteria of choosing these people, and we could even make suggestions to the political party about the kind of people who would be able to do certain things, because these people might not be very active members of their branches. But here is somebody who has these qualities, who can do these things. And these people who would be councillors are people who are not even known by the community, but they are only known by their party. The community has never heard of this person, and the person is coming to that. This time we don't even have to wait that we change the laws. We say, so by the time we all go to April, we already know that these are the people who have these kinds of qualities. For instance, the Electoral Commission has only authority of checking when the lists come from the parties and they go to the Electoral Commission. Within the law, we only check whether you are a South African citizen, whether your name has been sent by a party through the legal procedures. It's not something that has been sent, through the back door to the Electoral Commission. And thirdly, we check whether you are on the voters' roll. That's not enough. We don't know whether you are a criminal. We don't know whether you passed Standard 6 or not. We don't know what experience you have. And the Electoral Commission has no right to check. All you do is to check only those three things. And so and that's where the problem starts, because you are hoping that the party has done all the necessary screening to say, for this particular parliament, these are the people, for these people to be able to run a municipality, because people don't have that kind of experience of managing a municipality.
I suppose, Dr. Brigalia, you are concerned about the qualities, as you've already indicated, that in some instances it leads to incompetence or a corrupt orientation to the public purse or dealing with public issues. Is that your concern, that you think that it's got to do with the quality of those people?
The quality of those people. We don't expect to see angels coming to our country. I'm not being, but I'm just hoping that, for the best of us, there are certain standards that we have as a nation. There are certain things that we want. We do want people whom we know that have certain experience. We do want people to know that at least there is some kind of integrity of some kind. We also do need to know people who are known by others, not people, there's no reference. You know, people just, then the name goes and they, I don't know, there's a reference of the name that gives this person, I don't know how the system works, because I've never been in that situation. I'm in situations where people will want the references, where they will want the certificates of education, where they will want your experience, that we create that because people who are appointed must learn. All of us, it's a new responsibility.
But here's the point.
People.
Here is a point then. The political parties should know better. Why is it that you think they do not deploy the best that they have within themselves for the benefit of broader South Africa? Why is it not a topmost issue for political parties, that point that you're making?
I don't want to generalize and pass judgment on all of them because I do not know what goes on behind closed doors. Maybe they have, I haven't studied their constitutions. I do not know their criteria, so I don't want to pass judgment on them. Maybe they do have these systems. But what I often hear, which is probably is not the only requirement, is that you belong to a group in your local and you have paid your membership. I'm not aware of, but I'm sure there are other things that they measure. And those really are key to me. But I think we need also to change our own law. In other countries, is that when the parties are appointing people to serve, they use an independent body. In some other countries, they use an electoral commission itself to manage the system on their behalf, so that there is independence. There isn't too much of the temptation of bribing, which happens in every country, is that people bribe people in order to make sure that they are in the list. There's a lot of exchange of money. And in order that people protect themselves from that temptation, because people need money, and we are a society that is keen on resources, then we need to be supported by other independent bodies so that we can reach these standards.
Now, let me ask this question because a lot of young South Africans, are very disappointed in how the system has served them. Many are unemployed or excluded from opportunities to study, to work. And then they look at all of the developments in the country at the moment and they wonder, what is it about this system? Why should I care about taking part as a voter, for instance, right? And what advice would you give them? Because people feel powerless. They think that the system is controlled by those lists, people from the lists from the forest, for instance, and that they've got no control over them. Is there anything that an individual citizen or voter can do to hold those who are elected to positions of power and authority accountable?
If I'm appointed, I think the public has got to appoint. We don't need big legislation. It's simple. The public must find a method. It's there. It exists everywhere. That they appoint the people themselves. They know the candidates. They debate the names of the candidate, and the system of the parties is more transparent. We cannot replace parties, and the parties will always remain a very important structure in the creation. It's in the Constitution, it's in everywhere, because it's a competitive area, which is fine. It has got to happen. We've got to get the best people. We've got to bet those who have a manifesto, and we know that the things that they tell they will do in their manifesto, they surely will do. And so that is a given. It works in every other country. But those people must be people who are appointed by us, who will be thrown out by us in the position that they don't perform. To me, that is the immediate. We don't even need to change the Constitution on that. We simply need to agree and make amendments. And if we're waiting for the Constitution to change, changing the Constitution, Tim, is very, very difficult. We had that experience on floor crossing system, which was not working well for us. But it was a struggle of many, many, many years to be able to get that Constitution changed. Because you see, in Parliament...
And let me just ask you for a brief comment as we conclude. Are you optimistic, looking ahead, The elections are around the corner. Just a brief response from you. What's your take of the forthcoming elections?
I think that people are going to vote, and people must vote, because you see, we are a young democracy, and elections are a national event, a great national event, and the South Africans must vote. South Africans must be encouraged to participate, because this event is the event, Tim, that makes us feel, let alone all the other things, that we belong to this nation, that we have a nation, and we care in this nation how this nation is run. And we want this nation to have a government. And so when we go to elections, and for us who never were deprived from just being recognized as citizens of a nation, by going to vote, let's leave all these other problems that we have. By going to vote, it's just a statement for yourself, and a statement to those many people who fought for your right, that you are recognized, that you are a South African, you are somebody, you belong to a country. The act itself. And I refer to elections as a celebration. You know, I've been going a lot to countries now since I retired. Even before I retired, pre-election, I said we have to look at elections as a national event, rather than an event where we are like to have conflicts, an event where we are likely to refuse the people who come through to us. So the change of attitude is that an election process is a national event, which is my right as a citizen to exercise.
Well,
and I hope that that will be the spirit for the young people of this nation to do that.
Dr. Brigalia Bam, thank you very much for taking time to be with us on the show, and we appreciate your insights and you sharing your thoughts with us on the program. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. It's been wonderful to talk to you again after all these years. Thank you.
And that's all we had for you this morning. Thank you for joining the Modise Network. Be sure to tune in again next week, Saturday. From us, enjoy the rest of your day.